Praise the Lord, saints. This is Elder Adrian Hammond. It's a nice day, a cool day. Looks like we're trying to change from winter to summer and not really have a lot of spring, but it's a nice weather. I'm not sure how many people had heard what our Secretary of War was saying in his appearance before Congress. The one thing I do know about the legislative power is that if there is a war and the fighting has went on for, I believe it was 2 months or so, then the Secretary of War or Defense is obligated to give a detailed accounting of what the expenses are, especially if you wish to continue to pursue the fighting. Nothing is to be hidden. Nothing is to be embellished or deleted. Everything's supposed to be out there. Now, we know in history that that's not always the case, but that's the way that it should be in order for us to keep the separation of powers between the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch of the government. The issue that we have here is that, number one, the public is not told the news of what's going on. And even if the ends up being a skirmish for, let's say, 55 days instead of 2 full months, it's just a matter of principle that the public should know how the war is going on. The entire war. Now, if you want to continue to pursue the war, then you give cases for it. But the whole thing is supposed to be given to us so we understand. And as you know, as a minister of God, I will try to equate whatever's going on in our secular lives, professional lives, legal lives, to what's happening spiritually. Because for the saint of God, you really can't separate them. Because if you don't have the Spirit in you, nothing else makes sense. Sister Ferguson, praise the Lord. Good to see you. The problem that I see is twofold. Number one, that we are not told of the full costs of the war, skirmish, operation, whatever you call it. We don't know the full costs of the operation. And then we're told that things to help those who are disadvantaged, those who are crying out on the home front, that's not as important as what's going on in Iran, because if Iran has a nuclear weapon, then that essentially takes away anything else that we should argue. Now, we say that's to no other people. We don't say that to China. We don't say that about Russia. and they got loads of nuclear weapons. But to a country that we were supposed to have obliterated their nuclear program, and then saying, oh, they're only a month away, then something is not right. Either he didn't obliterate the program, or you're not really bombing for the nuclear weapons. You can't tell everyone, and you get mad at people for saying, well, they didn't obliterate it. They damaged it heavily, but they did. And you get mad at them that they're not patriotic. And then you go out and say after a month or two, we're going after the nuclear weapons. Well, what happened? I thought they were obliterated. These are the things that essentially makes the people lose trust in what the government is saying. The same thing happened with the Iraqi war. How we were there for the premise of getting rid of weapons of mass destruction. I'm not sure how many of you are old enough to remember that, but I remember that very clearly. We were there to get rid of the weapons of mass destruction. So we went in there, and we ended up being there for years, and quite a few of our young men and women lost their lives, lost their livelihood through weapons, improvised weapons. It doesn't matter if it's improvised or whatever. It was only in lost limbs, lost eyesight, lost mental capacity, as anything would happen if you would blow someone up. But now we're going through the same thing, but it's now the government that's saying, that added to it, that if you question anything about what the military is doing, then you're unpatriotic. To me, that's one of the most asinine things that you could ever say. And I say that freely because essentially you're basing your patriotism on blind loyalty. Blind loyalty. One thing I understand about God is that even with him, he will give you assurances. Even if you go by faith, what happened with Abraham? He gave him assurances during the journey. God never lied to Abraham about what was going on. He never twisted the situation. Every situation that came forth, it was discussed. And the Lord does give you an answer to make sure that you're at peace with whatever he's given you to do. The Bible doesn't hide anything about whether it was good or bad. David did good things, he did some despicable things. Hezekiah did some good things, and then he also let his ego get the best of him. Uzziah, actually a very good king, but then he became too presumptuous, tried to do what was forbidden for him to do. These are stories that over and over and over and over again, they tell you that these men and women of God are still at the very core men and women. They make mistakes. They make errors. And we're to learn from them. But in the accounting that the military gives to the legislative branch of the government, they're not supposed to know anything. They're supposed to just say, okay, here's money, here's money, here's money, here's money, here's money, here's money, and keep feeding into it without knowing exactly what's going on. General public didn't know anything about the damage that has been or is being incurred on the bases that are in the Middle East. Because of why? Because of Iran bombing them. We thought we got away scot-clean. The way that it was told, no damage at all, just those, I mean, and we shouldn't say it, just those 13 that died. Well, to those 13 families, that was precious. And these people that are injured, now we're saying it's in the hundreds of people that have been injured in this conflict. But we're supposed to, yeah, all right, keep going, keep going, keep going. And we don't know what's going on. We don't know the full cost of what we're bearing based upon the decisions that were made. And it wasn't because of a decision that was made due to people clamoring for it. I didn't hear any majority clamoring for a war with Iran. It was all of a sudden we hear that the U.S. is helping Israel bomb the living daylights out of Iran. And no one has said anything still about those children at the very beginning of the war who were killed. Whether was it just an errant missile? They found it was a U.S. missile that blew up that school. But no one says anything about it. No one. You hide it because you don't want people to understand. You don't want people to dwell upon that. Dwell upon the victories. We have just obliterated them. But every time we say obliterated, every time we say completely destroyed, we find out that, oh, they're still shooting weapons. They're still shooting drones. They're still shooting missiles. Otherwise, why would we have to then rescue these men who have been shot down by non-existent missiles? Really? Just because you're saved doesn't mean you're gullible. Doesn't mean that you are clueless. Doesn't mean we're supposed to. We're not even supposed to follow blindly the men of God. The women of God, we're not supposed to follow them blindly either. We follow them as they follow Christ. If they should step out of line, then we essentially can ask questions about it and clamor, well, Lord, and the best thing that we can vote with our feet. You're not following God, so I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to someone else who's following God. Now, I would say if you see someone that's following God and they've been blessing you with the word, they've been blessing you with what they've been given as instruction, then please stay with that person. That's a jewel. But if the church of the living God is any example, and we're supposed to be following a God who knows all, who understands all, and who protects his people, then why shouldn't we as a nation at least raise a question as to what's going on? The Strait of Hormuz is open. It's closed. It's blockaded. No, it's not blockaded. It's closed. No, it's open again. No, it's closed again. What in the world is going on? If you have business in the area and you are going through this stuff, that's one thing. But these are lives. And not just American lives. Like American lives, we could care less about what's happening to the Iranian people. These are the same people now. Remember a few months ago who were brutally put down because they dared to speak up against the Ayatollah and against the government that they had set up. These are the same people now that we're talking about bombing out of existence. I'm not saying that we can never have a military operation. That's secular government. You do what you have to do. essentially to protect the country. If you feel that the country is in danger, then you take steps. Now, I may disagree with that, but you have that prerogative to do that. But at the very least, do two things. Actually, there's two things that you should do. Number one, let us know what's going on and don't hide anything. Because if you hide something, that means that essentially you don't want us to know anything. That means it's something nefarious that's going on. There's something underhanded that's going on. And even if it's not, the semblance of that is taking place. And you don't want your population to think that they're being hoodwinked into fighting a war that wasn't needed or wanted. And the other thing is, you don't follow anybody blindly. The only one you follow with all your heart, soul, and mind is Jesus. And that's it. And any pastor, any messenger of God will tell you that you only follow me as much as I follow the Lord and give you the correct answer for what needs to take place. If I start giving things like, for instance, the Lord is coming for his church around 2 p.m. on Friday of this month. That's not of God. So I'll expect you not to follow me. Go somewhere else. Listen to another podcast. Don't hear me. So no one is to be followed blindly. And if they tell you the truth, if they're transparent, then that's someone you can follow and trust in. But you only trust in them as much as they trust in God. Truly trust in God. Again, you, as a people, do what you want. If you follow our president, it's up to you. If you don't follow his policies, you don't like them, then that's up to you. I'm just saying, in a situation where his lives are at stake, we as a people, we're part of the United States. Our citizenship may be in heaven, but we're still part of the United States. And as part of the United States, we need to know what's going on. Simple, close. God bless you in Jesus' name.